Jeremiah 18. And to start, a few thoughts why I love getting up here to talk. One of the reasons that I'm not actually that proud of, but it's true, is that this is an excuse for me to set hours aside and just remember why I love the stories of my fathers, of my ancestors. All the stories in here about the men and the women who wrestled with God, the hardships they faced, the battles they fought, and the ways that they would overcome. And like I said, it's a good challenge, reminder for me, and I pass it on to you. Take that time. That's what the Sabbath is all about, to take time to meditate on the Word of God. And one of the men that I am inspired so much by is Jeremiah. Last week at Sunnyside, we breezed through a verse at the beginning of Jeremiah when God is calling him to be a prophet. He says, "You're the guy. You're going to take my word to my people Israel." And Jeremiah's response is, "I'm not the guy. I don't know how to speak. I don't know how to do that. I'm too young." And God's response is, "Don't say I'm too young. Don't say I don't know how to speak. You're the guy. And where you go, you'll be where I sent you. And what you say, you'll be saying the words that I gave you. So," this is why we looked at it last week, "don't be afraid. I am with you." So inspiring. There's even some funny things that are worth remembering and thinking about, because directly after that happens in the beginning of Jeremiah, God says, "Look, Jeremiah, what do you see?" And Jeremiah says, "I see a branch of an almond tree." And God says, "Exactly, because I'm going to make sure that everything you say comes true." What? What? So they mercifully put in a little footnote there that says, in Hebrew, the word for almond tree sounds like the Hebrew word for watching. So God did a little play on words there, right? So he's getting creative with how he's encouraging his people to see things his way. So just out of curiosity, I flipped over to the Message to see what he would do with this. He didn't disappoint. God said, "Look, Jeremiah, what do you see?" And Jeremiah said, "I see a walking stick." And God said, "Exactly, because I'm sticking with you to make sure that all my words come true." And for those of you that know and appreciate the Pennsylvania dialect of English, I imagine that if God were to call a prophet out of Pennsylvania, he would say, "Look, prophet, what do you see?" And the prophet would say, "I see a pool in the desert." And God would say, "That's right, because I'm going to teach you how to pool a harvest out of this dry ground. And you will never be lacking for water."
That's the other side of the stage.
So there's no lacking in creativity, right? For how God tries to teach his people to see things his way, not their own. Which is, it's just great. It's just great to know. Another one to look at, I guess this has to be mentioned too. He says it in Numbers and a couple times to Isaiah. He says when he's frustrated because the people won't believe him, they won't follow him, they won't trust him. He says, "Is my arm too short?" And you just can't. Just imagine God thinking about us in our resistance, in our... Do you really think I'm a T-Rex trying to make the bed? Is that how you see me? And honestly, is that how we see the being that we call Almighty Father? How often is that exactly what we believe? His arm is too short to save. His arm is too short to do what he's promised us he would do. So all that shows up again here in Jeremiah 18. Again, the creativity that God uses to help us see things his way. In verse 1 he says, "This is the word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord. Go down to the potter's house and there I will give you my message. So I went down to the potter's house, and I saw him working at the wheel. It's so simple, and it's so beautiful. Go, put yourself there, and watch. Open your eyes, open your ears, open your heart. See how that person lives, how that person works, what that person has to offer you, and what you might have to offer this person. Does this not sound exactly like the charge that's been coming from our evangelists throughout this summer? Does that not sound with different words like, write down a list of everyone you know? Why? Open your eyes, open your ears to all the people, all the souls that are around you. Pray over this list. And then keep ready for creative ways that you can connect to these people. Open your heart, open your mind. There's so many people around us every day, and we just get so tunnel visioned about it. We miss it. So this message is that we've been getting strong and consistent this summer is not a new one. It's a message God's been giving since the beginning. You'll remember when Jesus called his first disciples. This is the basic part of our discipleship study, right? Jesus went to their house and spent the day with them. That was his first act of making disciples in the world, right? It's so simple, but we can miss it if we got blinders on. So I saw the potter working at the wheel, but the pot he was shaping from the clay was marred in his hands. So the potter formed it into another pot, shaping it as seemed best to him. This is an old metaphor, but my goodness, it's worth considering again. So we know that God is the potter, and we are the clay, both as individuals and as a kingdom, as a group. In the New Testament, he extends it directly to individuals also. So we're going to look at it both ways. Starting with individuals. God is the potter. So what does God make? He's sitting at his wheel, spinning the wheel, and fashioning his vessels. What does God make? Us, right? And what are us? Souls. And God makes souls. And going back 2 weeks ago, what is the design of these souls? What's their purpose? Joy. Joy of the Lord. And that joy comes through action, connection, and deliverance. Right? So what does this mean that the vessel gets marred in his hands? What is that? We know what that is. We know what that feels like. We know what it feels like to be marred in the hands of the potter. To have a flaw. To have something missing. Something go wrong. Something didn't end up where we thought it was going to go. God had this intention of making a perfect vessel. And something went wrong along the way. And that's where this metaphor has all its power. Because especially if we're prone to special different things, it's a lot of what Matt said. We think then that we're somehow discarded. We're somehow set out of the reach of the potter, and God goes on to work on somebody else because we're flawed or marred in some way. But no, he just reshapes us according to what seems best to him, according to the skill of the potter, of the master, and his knowledge of the clay. It's such a simple but profound metaphor. We know what mars us. We know what flaws we can have. We know that. Sin, anything that keeps us from action, keeps us away from the joy. Anything that keeps us from connecting to others. Anything that keeps the deliverance of the Lord at bay. Abuse, neglect, rejection, hurt, all of these things. We know them well. But the thing that Jeremiah learns here is that when it gets marred in the potter's hands, it's still there in the potter's hands. So he started out to make a perfect vessel. Something happened, it got marred, and he had to change it according to his skill and what seemed best to him. And when he was done, he had a perfect vessel. Right? So, I can't believe